A patient sat in my office this morning and told me something that made me feel physically sick, not because of what she said, but because of how long this has been going on without anyone warning her. She has been poisoning her brain every single morning for over a decade, and she thought she was doing one of the healthiest things a person could do. When she told me what it was, I knew I had to record this video today. She did not want to appear on camera, but she recorded this message so you could hear exactly what she told me. Listen carefully, because there is a very good chance you are doing the exact same thing.
I do not understand what is happening to me. I eat well. I take my vitamins. Every single morning for the past 12 years, I start my day with a big glass of orange juice because I thought it was good for me. I thought I was giving my body something healthy. So why can I not remember anything anymore? Why do I walk into rooms and forget why I am there? Why does my brain feel like it is running in slow motion by 10 in the morning? My daughter told me last week that I asked her the same question 3 times in one phone call. 3 times. I did not even realize I had asked it before. I am 69 years old, and I feel like I am watching myself fade away. I have tried everything. Brain games, puzzles, supplements. Nothing changes. Something is wrong, and nobody can tell me what it is.
When she said those words, when she said I feel like I am watching myself fade away, I had to take a breath before I could respond. Because I knew exactly what was causing her problem, and it was the very thing she was most proud of in her daily routine. My name is Dr. Margaret Whitmore. I have spent 32 years of my career focused on one area of medicine that most doctors barely touch: the connection between the gut and the brain, and how that connection determines your memory, your clarity, and your mental sharpness after 60. I started this channel because I was tired of watching people suffer in silence when the answers were right in front of them, just disguised as something nobody questioned. What my patient shared with you is something I hear in my practice every single week. Wonderful, caring, health-conscious people who are doing everything they think is right and still watching their minds slip away. Today, I am going to tell you exactly what that drink is, what it does inside your gut and your brain every single time you have a glass, and what to drink instead. If you care about your memory, please stay with me through this entire video. Before I tell you which drink I am talking about, I want you to think about your own morning for a moment. Think about what you pour yourself with breakfast. Think about what is sitting in your refrigerator right now that you bought because you believed it was a healthy choice. Think about how many years you have been drinking it without anyone ever suggesting it could be a problem. Now think about your brain. Think about whether the fog, the forgetfulness, the mental slowness has been getting gradually worse during those same years. I am not making the connection for you yet. I am just asking you to hold those 2 facts side by side as you listen to what comes next. The drink I am talking about is not soda. It is not alcohol. It is not coffee. It is something that sits in the refrigerator of nearly every person over 60 in this country, something that has been marketed for decades as one of the healthiest ways to start your day. I am talking about packaged fruit juice, orange juice from a carton, apple juice from a bottle, cranberry juice cocktail, grape juice. Those big, colorful containers that say natural on the label, that show pictures of fresh fruit and sunshine, that make you feel responsible and healthy every time you pour a glass. This is the drink that I believe is doing more silent damage to the gut and brain health of people over 60 than almost anything else in their kitchen, and it is the last thing anyone suspects because it has been hiding behind a reputation it does not deserve. I need to say something important here because I can already sense what some of you might be feeling. If you have been drinking juice every morning because you believed it was good for you, you did absolutely nothing wrong. You made a choice based on decades of marketing, packaging, and messaging that told you fruit juice was practically the same as eating fruit. That is not your fault. There is no blame here. There is only new information, and new information is always a gift because it puts the power back in your hands. Here is what most people do not realize about packaged fruit juice, and this is where the story takes a turn that surprises almost everyone. When you eat a whole piece of fruit, an actual orange, an actual apple, the sugar in that fruit is wrapped inside a structure of fiber. That fiber acts like a time release mechanism. It slows down the absorption of sugar, feeding it into your system gradually, giving your gut the chance to process it calmly and efficiently. The beneficial organisms in your gut receive the nutrients at a pace they can handle. Your blood sugar rises gently and comes down gently. Everything stays in balance. When that same fruit is turned into juice, the fiber is stripped away. What is left is essentially concentrated sugar water. A single glass of orange juice contains the sugar of 4 to 6 oranges, with none of the fiber that was supposed to control how that sugar enters your body. When you drink that glass, all of that sugar hits your gut at once, like a tidal wave crashing into a calm harbor. Now, I know exactly what some of you are thinking right now because I hear it in my office all the time. You're thinking, well, I do not drink packaged juice. I make my juice at home with real, fresh fruit. That is completely different. I wish I could tell you that it was, but I have to be honest with you. When you take fresh fruit, put it in a blender or a juicer, and turn it into liquid, you are doing the same thing the factory does. You are breaking apart the fiber structure that was protecting you from the sugar. Yes, the vitamins might be fresher. Yes, there are no added preservatives. Those are real differences. The sugar problem, however, is exactly the same. The fiber is destroyed or removed, and the sugar is released all at once into your gut without its natural brake system. Many of my patients tell me they make their juice at home and then add 2 or 3 spoonfuls of sugar on top of that because they like it sweeter, and they still believe they are making a healthy choice because the fruit is natural. I understand why they think that. It feels logical. Fresh fruit made at home must be better. The truth is that homemade juice with added sugar is even worse than the packaged version in many cases because the total sugar load hitting your gut is enormous and there is absolutely nothing slowing it down. It does not matter that the fruit started fresh on your kitchen counter. The moment you liquefied it and added sugar, you turned it into a concentrated sugar delivery system that your gut simply was not built to handle, especially not first thing in the morning, especially not after 60. I want to pause here because I think this moment matters. If you are someone who has been drinking juice every morning, possibly for years, and you are now connecting this to the fog and the forgetfulness that has been creeping into your life, I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below this video. You can simply write, I drank juice every morning thinking it was healthy. That is all. Because right now, someone else watching this video just had the same realization and they feel completely alone in it. Your comment could be the first time they understand that this is not their fault, that millions of people were told the same thing, and that there is a way forward. Please share. Your honesty could change someone else's day. Now let me show you exactly what happens inside your gut when that concentrated sugar from juice hits your system without any fiber to slow it down. Inside your gut, there is a vast community of tiny living organisms that work together to keep your brain functioning at its best. They produce chemical messengers that travel directly to your brain, influencing your memory, your focus, your mood, and your mental clarity. This community depends on balance. Many different types of organisms, each with a specific role, coexisting in harmony. When a flood of concentrated sugar arrives without fiber, it is like throwing gasoline on a specific group of organisms, the ones that thrive on sugar. These organisms are not the ones that help your brain. They are the ones that produce inflammatory waste products, the ones that crowd out the beneficial organisms, the ones that take over territory that does not belong to them. Think of it like a quiet neighborhood where someone suddenly opens a nightclub on every corner. The noise drives out the families. The peaceful residents leave. The character of the entire neighborhood changes, and what used to be a balanced, healthy community becomes chaotic and hostile. That is what concentrated fruit juice does to the ecosystem inside your gut. One glass at a time, one morning at a time, it reshapes the entire community in favor of organisms that actively work against your brain. There is a second layer to this that makes it even more damaging after 60. Inside your gut, there is a delicate protective lining that acts as a gatekeeper between your digestive system and your bloodstream. Its job is to let nutrients through while keeping harmful particles contained. The daily sugar bombardment from juice weakens this lining directly. It erodes the connections between the cells that form the barrier, creating tiny gaps that widen over time. After 60, this lining is already thinner and more fragile than it was in younger years. The daily juice accelerates that fragility dramatically. When harmful particles begin leaking through those gaps into the bloodstream, your body responds with silent, invisible inflammation that travels through your system and reaches your brain. Imagine a beautiful stained glass window in an old church. It has stood for decades, still magnificent, still functional, but the lead between the panes has softened with age. Now imagine washing that window every single morning with something slightly corrosive. Not enough to shatter it, not enough to notice any single day, but over months and years, the lead weakens further, the panes shift, tiny gaps appear, and light starts leaking through in places it never did before. That is what juice does to your gut lining. The corrosion is invisible until the damage is done, and by then, inflammation has been reaching your brain for so long that the fog feels like it has always been there. I want you to hear from another patient of mine now. She also chose to share her experience through audio only, but she wanted you to know what happened to her.
There was a morning about 6 months ago that I will never forget. I was making breakfast for my husband, the same breakfast I have made 1,000 times, scrambled eggs and toast. I cracked the eggs into the pan, and then I just stood there. I could not remember what to do next. I was staring at raw eggs in a pan, and my brain could not figure out the next step. My husband walked in and found me just standing there, holding the spatula with tears running down my face. He asked me what was wrong, and I could not even explain it. How do you tell someone that you forgot how to cook eggs? That was the morning I realized this was not just little memory slips anymore. Something was really, really wrong.
That moment she just described, forgetting how to do something you have done 1,000 times, is one of the most frightening things a person can experience. When I hear stories like this, the first thing I look at is what is happening in the gut, because so often, the brain is responding to a problem that started somewhere else entirely. In her case, she had been drinking 2 large glasses of orange juice every single morning for over 15 years. She thought it was her healthiest habit. It was her most damaging one. Now I want to talk about the solution, and I want to give this the time and detail it deserves, because this is the part that actually changes your mornings, your clarity, and your life. The one change I am asking you to consider is simple. Replace your morning juice with whole fruit and water. That is the entire change. Not a special diet, not an expensive supplement, not a complicated program. Just swap the glass of juice for a piece of actual fruit and a glass of water. Let me explain why this works so powerfully, because understanding what happens inside your body when you make this switch is what makes the change stick. When you eat an actual orange instead of drinking orange juice, you are getting the same vitamins, the same flavor, and a similar experience, but with one critical difference. The fiber is intact. That fiber wraps around the natural sugars and controls how they enter your gut. Instead of a tidal wave, it is a gentle stream. The sugar arrives slowly, steadily, at a pace your gut can handle without distress. The beneficial organisms receive their nutrients in order without being overwhelmed. They continue producing the chemical messengers your brain needs. The harmful sugar-loving organisms get nothing extra to feed on. They stay in their place. The balance holds. Your blood sugar rises gently and comes down gently, with no crash, no spike, no roller coaster. Your gut lining, instead of being assaulted by concentrated sugar every morning, gets the chance to maintain itself and even begin repairing the damage from years of juice. Here's what this looks like in practice, because I want you to be able to start tomorrow. Instead of pouring a glass of orange juice with breakfast, eat an actual orange. Peel it, separate the segments, eat it slowly. If you prefer something different, a small handful of berries works beautifully. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries. These fruits are lower in sugar and extraordinarily rich in the compounds that support the beneficial organisms in your gut. If you miss the act of drinking something with breakfast, replace the juice with a glass of plain water or water with a squeeze of fresh lemon or a lime. If you want warmth, herbal tea is a wonderful option. The key is removing the concentrated, fiberless sugar flood and replacing it with the whole, intact, fiber-wrapped version that your gut was designed to process. Now let me walk you through what happens inside your body over the first few weeks of this change, because the recovery is genuinely remarkable. During the first week, without the daily sugar bombardment, the aggressive organisms that were dominating your gut begin to lose their fuel supply. Their numbers start to stabilize and then gradually decline. The beneficial organisms, the ones that had been crowded out and suppressed, begin to sense an opportunity. They start to recover, to multiply, to reclaim the space that was taken from them. Think of it like a garden where you finally stopped watering the weeds. The weeds do not disappear overnight, but they stop growing. The flowers that were struggling underneath begin to push through the soil again. Life returns to places that had been dormant. During the second and third week, the gut lining begins its most significant repair. Without the daily corrosion, the cells regenerate. The connections between them tighten. The tiny gaps that were letting harmful particles leak through start to close. Less inflammation enters the bloodstream. Less interference reaches the brain. Many people over 60 tell me that somewhere around the third or fourth week, they woke up one morning and something felt different. The fog was thinner. Words came faster. They could hold a thought without it slipping away. One person told me that she had her first clear morning in over 2 years, and she sat on the edge of her bed just feeling it, not wanting to move, afraid it would disappear. It did not disappear. It stayed, and it got a little stronger each day after that. I want to be honest with you, as I always am. Juice is not the only factor that can affect your gut health and brain clarity. Many things play a role, and I would never oversimplify something as complex as the human body. What I am telling you is that for a remarkable number of people over 60, this one morning habit turned out to be the most significant and most surprising contributor to their brain fog. Removing it did not fix everything overnight, but it gave their gut the breathing room it needed to start healing, and their brain responded in ways they thought were no longer possible. If this video has opened your eyes to something you did not know before, if it has given you a piece of understanding that changes the way you look at your own kitchen, I would be honored if you subscribe to this channel. Every week, Dr. Margaret Whitmore explores a different connection between your gut and your brain after 60. We look at the foods, the habits, and the quiet daily choices that shape how clearly you think, how well you remember, and how fully you experience each day. Everything is shared in plain, honest, simple language because you deserve to understand your own body without anyone making it harder than it needs to be. There are thousands of people in this community who started exactly where you are right now, and when you subscribe, you join them. I can tell you from the heart that this is one of the warmest, most genuine communities you will find. I want to leave you with something personal. Tomorrow morning, you are going to walk into your kitchen. You are going to open the refrigerator. And for the first time, you're going to see that carton of juice for what it really is. Not a health food, not a gift to your body. A habit that has been quietly taking something from you that you can get back. Reach past it. Grab an orange instead. Pour yourself a glass of water. Sit down and eat that orange slowly, knowing that with every bite, the fiber is protecting your gut, the sugar is arriving gently, and your brain is receiving permission to start clearing the fog that has been building for years. You do not need to change your entire life. You just need to change one glass. Tomorrow morning, that is where it begins. Your brain has been waiting for this. Your gut has been hoping for this. You are not too late, not even close. The clearest mornings of this chapter of your life might be just a few weeks away, and they start with the very next thing you choose to pour. You're ready. You're exactly on time.